Hi, Ryan. Can you hear me?
Yes, how you doing, Chinoy? How are you?
I'm good.
Awesome. You can see me okay? And hear me okay?
Yes,
All
yes, I
right.
can.
Sweet, sweet. So, how are things with you? It's been a little while.
I know. It's been good. It's been good.
Okay. Very cool. So, I thought this would be a good way to kind of just get you to jump in, kind of get a decent idea of what's going on with AI and some of the tools that I found useful. Spent a lot of time diving into a lot of different facets of AI. So I figured, hey, this is a good
Hmm.
opportunity. Plus, when I get questions and whatnot, it enables me to give them like a reference. So it helps out a lot of people as well. So with that being said, why don't you just tell me a little bit about your experience with AI so far? Is it pretty much right from the beginning?
I'm a novice. Like I don't know anything about
Perfect. That's actually, no, no,
AI.
that's all right, cool. So what I'll do is this, because you can go down many rabbit holes with AI. So we'll keep it high level for now. And
Okay.
any questions you have, feel free to stop me and all that. I know you had one question about, loading a PDF and having it, help you with your resume, which is something it easily can do. So
Okay.
we'll go ahead and we'll make sure we cover that. So I'll tell you what, we'll dive right in here and I should be able to share my screen. So let me do that.
All right. Before we begin, do I need to download anything on my computer
No, so
just so I can get
what
started?
yeah, I mean, so a lot of these apps do have like certain free limited usage. So whether that means per day or month or week or whatever. So you can technically get started with these that I'm going to show you today.
Okay.
You have to sign up for accounts and whatever. So do you really need to be the hands-on right now? Probably not. I mean, if something pops up and we want to do a quick hands-on thing, we could sign you up real fast. But probably easier if I just kind of show you high level and then through my screen and whatnot.
Okay.
Awesome.
Cool.
So let me go ahead and see the share screen feature. Let's see. All right. Don't mind any of the background noise. I got twins and
That's totally fine. I can't hear anything, by the way.
no
But
worries. So you can see my screen okay?
I can.
So the tabs up. All right. Awesome. So let me just kind of go real fast. There's different types of LLMs, and LLMs are basically it's a large language model, which everyone is referring to now as AI. So when people think of AI, they're probably thinking of Terminator or like true artificial intelligence. It's sentient or like a Johnny Five type scenario. That's not what it is. However, these are again, it's a large language model that has been trained on lots and lots of data. So it is pretty advanced. It does seem like you're talking to a artificial intelligence, but we're not quite there yet. However, with that being said, this thing's like the ultimate assistant. So to kind of get an idea of there's different types of language models out there. You've probably heard of ChatGPT, which is pretty much the main, most popular one. There are, however, other popular ones. If you've heard of Claude, which is one I've been using a lot more lately, that's created by Anthropic. Maybe Gemini, you've heard of, or Copilot, stuff like that.
Copilot I have heard of.
Okay, so
And
there's other.
just yesterday, actually, I heard of Copilot.
Okay. So you could think of it as like, these companies, maybe it's like American Airlines and JetBlue and Spirit. And then, maybe
Hmm.
they each have, airplanes that essentially do the same thing, right? Different tasks, but one may have a 747, whatever model. And so they're slightly different and they are, some excel in certain areas as opposed to others. So what do I mean by that? Um, the beauty of these LLMs is that you can get complex tasks done without having to really be super technical yourself. So it's like a nice little interface. So technically speaking, I have a computer background for coding. Well, you could actually code a website or have ChatGPT code a website for you just by asking it, as we're talking now, and it could go ahead and code all that without you having to know any coding whatsoever. So that's where it kind of provides that nice little in between so that you can, again, be more efficient or accomplish tasks that otherwise you would not be able to accomplish. So, someone like myself, where I haven't coded in a while, if I go ahead and dive back in, it's like the perfect assistant for debugging the code, writing it out like literally before your eyes, and we could go ahead and dive into that shortly. So, anyway, just want to go ahead. Here we are at ChatGPT again. You can create a free account. There is limited amount of usage for the free accounts as opposed to paid accounts. I'm not sure right now where they stand with the limitations on ChatGPT, um, but I know that they've increased it over the past few months or year for what's available. So here you go. Here's this basic interface, and over here you can see the models. So again, uh, you have OpenAI, which is the company, ChatGPT, and essentially, if you see ChatGPT that 4.0 or O1 preview, which is the latest one, these are different models that will vary slightly and excel in certain areas as opposed to previous models. So sorry, I should mute my phone here. That's Stevie, by the way, calling. Any rate, so just to kind of dive a little further into this, right? So here we're logged into OpenAI. I mentioned Claude before. This is a different large language model. I
Mhm.
believe that this one excels in giving more human-like sounding responses. So where would this come into play? For me, this could be blogs, this could be website, this could be social media, this could
Mm.
be emails, whatever it may be. This I feel is a little better than what you would get from a chat GPT. And that's not to say though that you can't train these models and get better output, but that's kind of it in a nutshell. Now, I don't have the pro version for this, so I am limited on my features and the amount of messages I could send in one time period. So if it's a
Mhm.
complex application, that's something I'm going to use here for ChatGPT. One more thing to kind of note. Um, this is the latest, most advanced. Again, I don't know if this is available for free users. I'm a paid user. I have access. This is advanced with coding and other aspects. It's called chain of thought thinking, which basically will step through the thought process that it goes through. So I don't want to overcomplicate things, but it is a more advanced model, but you do have limitations. One, as far as how many messages you could send. The second one is, if you see on my screen here, this little attachment. This is where you have the ability to upload documents or pictures.
Mm.
So how is that beneficial? Well, number one, just to give you a real world use case scenario, I could take a picture if I'm working on my son's bike and
Mhm.
I don't know how to, let's say, replace the brake pads, whatever. I could literally take a photo, upload it to ChatGPT and say, explain to me the steps to replacing these brake pads or to replacing the tire. And it could see, believe it or not, what I uploaded and give me instructions accordingly. Now, likewise with your resume, right?
Mhm.
So if, for example, I want to go ahead and get feedback. Now, I haven't worked for corporate real in quite some time. Let me do something um, slightly a little different. So I have a custom built chat GPT, and we could dive into that later. But this essentially would do something similar. So this particular GPT is trained to evaluate a contract or a lease for a real estate property, right? So let's
Okay.
say I go and I have a contract that just came in, or I'm dealing with high volume, and I want the this ChatGPT that is trained. Remember, this is trained on a lot of data. So believe it or not, this actually has the knowledge of a legal attorney that could pass the bar. And likewise, it may have knowledge of certain doctors with PhDs. So it's really incredible the amount of information and knowledge that this does have, right? So just to give you an example, again, I know we're not dealing with resumes here. Let's see if I could dig up one of the old leases. So let's go ahead, dive in on some of the resources. Okay. Or you know what? We could even use a purchase contract. Perfect. So here's my PDFs, right?
Mhm.
Let's go ahead. I'll upload any of these. And hypothetically speaking, I say, please evaluate and let me know of any potential liabilities I would have as the seller. Right now, let me just go ahead and dive in a little further. what I went ahead and just did, this is called a prompt, right?
A
Now,
prompt?
a prompt, correct. So what is a
Okay.
prompt? A prompt is basically instructions that you're going to give ChatGPT. Now, if you've ever had a computer course, one of the most common things you'll hear is garbage in, garbage out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you feed
Mm-hmm.
it a bunch of trash, it's going to kick out a bunch of trash. So how does this now change our or the way in which we work? Well, I'm no longer thinking of, hey, what's the solution for this problem? I'm more thinking of how do I speak in the ChatGPT's language so that it understands me and I can go ahead and get the best results possible, right? So how do I go ahead and communicate in such a fashion that it's going to give me the best ultimate results as opposed to something generic? So I just created a social media post on this, which basically says it talks about frameworks, right? So we don't have to go too detail with that, but what does that really mean? Well, for example, I gave this a general prompt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I sidestep a little bit, let's just say I wanted to go ahead and have ChatGPT give me a dinner recipe, right? So I could say, give me a dinner recipe, of an Italian, give me an Italian dinner recipe. And it could,
Mm-hmm.
that's very broad. That's not really too detailed. Whereas if I said, I want you to act like a professional chef, and I want you to give me a step-by-step vegetarian Italian recipe in a friendly tone, right? So you're giving certain structure and format to that prompt, which in essence will allow you, in theory, to get better results. So what does something like that look like, right? Here's a bunch of these popular frameworks that are utilized, and each one may excel depending on the type of output you're looking for, right? So here we have the clear framework, right? So basically, here's some example clips that we have. Like, this is a good reference sheet, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Shinoy, I could go ahead and share this with you if you like.
Yeah, that would
So
be
again,
great. And don't
right.
mind if you see me looking this way. I just moved over to my bigger screen.
Yeah, yeah, no worries. So in essence, it'll basically say, okay, hey, again, using let's say an RTN framework, you're going to give it a role, a tone, and a sorry, RTF and a format. So again, that would give you better results based off of something just kind of generically move this out of the way, as opposed to the prompt, whoops, that I gave here. But nonetheless, ChatGPT is pretty smart, and you still can get rather decent results, right? So
Mm-hmm.
here you can see it put in a table format, right? Here, who's it affecting? What's the severity? What's the potential liability? Now, why is this useful? Well, this is beautiful because if I'm talking with my attorney, he might be busy, whatever it may be. I could say, hey, can you just go ahead and evaluate and just make sure you pay close attention to these bullet
These
points
things.
here,
Yeah.
right? So I'm not
Yeah.
saying necessarily replace the attorney. I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying, hey, this is an added assistant that can benefit and give another quote unquote set of eyes. So how
Mm-hmm.
would this help you, right? Same thing. Although you would give it, let's say, a better prompt, you may say, I want you to act as an expert resume writer. I want you to evaluate the uploaded resume, and I want you to give me suggestions and improvements based off of XYZ or based off a job for this role, etc. It can actually probably tweak it according to that job that you're applying for,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so just to again give you, I don't know for the free version if uploading, if it has that ability, right? So for example, I mentioned to you before the new model that's limited. As you see, when I select that, the ability to upload disappears,
Yeah, it's gone.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know
You
I could talk fast. I go at a quick pace. How are we doing so far? And did I lose you anywhere? Any
you
questions that I could answer?
you didn't quite lose me, but you mentioned earlier Claude and ChatGPT, and you said your preference is Claude because it gives better, more human-like, I guess, responses. Is that what you said?
Depending on the task. So if typically speaking, if I'm doing a social media post, or even like an email, I tend to like lately the way Claude sounds a little better. Now, if we're dealing with coding, I may switch back and forth between the two, right? So I know you're not a coder or but for example, let's say I'm dealing with a very complex application. I'm
Hmm.
uploading, switch this back. I'm uploading a lot of documents that contain code. It's evaluating it. It's writing code, and I'll show you in a minute what it does. You could copy it, then you could run it again, and it's a conversational back and forth between ChatGPT. And sometimes it could kind of get lost, and you can almost get in some endless loops. So what I'll do is, if I'm seeing that it's getting repetitive and I can't quite break that cycle, I'll
Hmm.
pop over to Claude, give it a quick update. Again, I want you to act like an expert developer. I have this type of, again, depending on the task at hand, I'll give it a certain type of prompt and have it try to continue and solve the issue that we can't get out of. Then I'll come back to ChatGPT and continue from there. Um,
Mm.
I do have more, I tend to like ChatGPT as a whole better. But again, I am finding myself using Claude a lot more, than before. So anyway, let's go ahead and dive in a little deeper here. So I gave
Okay.
you an example earlier that you can have ChatGPT do complex tasks such as create a website for you without you having any technical knowledge. So let's just give you a quick example. Create me a website. Um, let's just say for a local, let's say bakery, maybe.
Hmm.
Please make it look modern. Um, yeah, let's keep it. Please make it look modern. Now, again, if we want to get better output, we would say, I want you to act like a professional developer. Please create. And you could say, again, you could get very detailed here. The better prompt, the more work that you put into your prompt, the better
Hmm.
results
The
you'll
better
get.
result. Yeah.
So as I mentioned earlier, the way you're thinking becomes a little different, right? We know what
Hmm.
the end result we want, but how do I say that in such a fashion where I don't have to go back and forth, right? You'll
Right.
you'll find out when as you start using ChatGPT, you'll notice you may put a simple prompt, and that's okay for quick one-off tasks. But as you get more complex, you'll be putting more time into the prompt so that it gets it in less, transactions, so to speak. So, anyway, act as a professional developer. Please create me a website for local baker. Here we go. Now, watch. It's actually going to code this right in front of you. Now, as a previous developer, I mean, watching this to me just blows my mind, right? Like, HTML is not hard, but it does this for Python. I mean, a lot of languages. And here's what's beautiful, right? Like you're seeing this, write this code right out in front of you. Now, mind you, it's not perfect. Sometimes you do go back and forth with certain errors that occur that you can
Hmm.
go down certain rabbit holes if it is a more complex application. Um, but it is, I mean, imagine someone as a developer like having this as your assistant that
Hmm.
you could write code and create applications a fraction of the time.
Yeah.
Now here's the cool part, right? This is writing it. I could go ahead, copy the code really easy. It's even telling me the file names, and then I could ask it for instructions. So I might say, hey, this is great. I have a website, but now what do I do? Well, it'll give me step-by-step instructions of, okay, create an account for a web host, like literally down to log in with this, click on this, depending how detailed you want, and obviously how detailed is available. Because a lot of this data, again, if it hasn't if it's not part of the information that it was trained on, this
Hmm.
does have the ability to search the internet. Not all of these do. So, for example, the Claude, at least for the free version, if I ask it something going on today with current events, or please check out this website, that's one of the limitations that this doesn't have the ability to do. Whereas ChatGPT does. It does have the ability to surf the web. So, but look at this. I mean, that just wrote me two files, and of course, it's probably a simple website. Um, I mean, if you want, I could
And
show
you
you.
get to preview the web. Yeah, I was going to
Yeah.
ask that.
So did you want me to do? I could do that if you want. So
Yeah, I would love to see what it
let's see.
did.
So here's the
So you
index.html.
copied everything that it just
Yeah,
all of that.
yeah.
Okay.
So if you see here, it says copy. Makes
Oh
it really.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yep. All right, so that's the index. Let's say save as. Now this is going to be a pretty simple page, but let's just see for fun, right? All right, let's create a new folder. let's see, it wanted our images, CSS. So I want to create those other folders. All right, hold on. Let's see. Here's the style CSS. Okay, so it told me that this is what I should do as far as my folder layout. That's how it created it. So bakery, right? So you see CSS images. So here's what's interesting. It actually also has the ability to create images, and we'll dive into that next.
Mm-hmm.
We just create this first, the CSS file, and the JS folder. So cool. So I'm just creating where's the file? Let's just say, let's see where it says nope. Usually allows you to do new notebook, but okay, here. So I'm just putting the code in Notepad here and then saving it as the proper file there. Okay, that's that. And then one more. I think there was a JavaScript file. Now, again, let's just say if you didn't know, like you got this code and you're like, okay, I'm a little confused. You can literally say, okay, please walk me through as if I'm a 5-year-old. And I'll even talk to it like that. It'll break down the steps. Very simple for you. So, okay, script.js, that's our last one.
Because I would definitely need to do because I have no idea what you
Yeah,
would do with all this information.
sure. And that's the beauty of it is that it's conversational, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you know this, but like with Google, you could ask Google questions and stuff, and it can answer. Um, think of it as like an advanced Google in a sense, and you could have
Mm-hmm.
get conversational conversations with it. And I'll show you what's called perplexity as well. That's a type of I guess Google, if you will, but and it's AI powered and it's really wild. So let me just run this web page first and see what we got. Okay, so this is nothing fancy or whatever, but you saw it, you know. So this is just very basic. Now, if I wanted to make that more complex, right? I just would simply. First, what I could do is I could say continue generating. All right, hold on. So as a quick side, if you have a lot of code and it's a long response, there's memory restrictions. So sometimes you may have to click, continue generating and whatnot. That's where some of the challenges can come into play. That looked like it was just a little bit of the text that it was mentioning. So,
And
okay.
you
So,
only know once you try to put it together, because it doesn't tell you that it's
sorry.
pretty much. So it doesn't tell you. So you wouldn't know. How would you know that you've only gotten if you've gotten to the max, basically?
Oh, it'll say, so you must have missed that part. It stopped and it generated all the text to here and it said continue generating. I clicked the button and it just finished that
Oh,
section.
okay, okay,
But
okay. Yes.
if it's a big application, let's say it was a big website, it may, stop coding here. Then I click generate, it continue. So again, there is limitations.
Mm-hmm.
The more complex you get, it tends to have more errors or it'll forget and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I could talk to this now, right? Like this is very basic. No one's really going to use this as the page. However, I could say, okay, not bad. Can you add in three pictures and can you make the menus a little more fancy? And I could literally talk through to have a better web page. Now, not to go too deep, but there's things that are called custom GPTs. So remember, we talked about how ChatGPT is a large language model trained on everything. Consider it like it's a general doctor or general anything. If we go ahead and tell it, hey, I want you to take on this certain role. Again, we said like before, like a chef or maybe a developer, whatever it is. By you saying, hey, take on this role, it's basically saying, okay, I'm trained on basically everything about anything about everything, or everything about everything. I just want to be I'm focusing on being a web developer. Hey, just focus on this smaller set of data. I don't need to know about, changing tires on a car and all this stuff. So it takes on that role and it makes it more efficient. It gives more or better results, right? So instead of prompting every single time, let's say this is a task I do frequently, right? I
Mm-hmm.
could create a custom GPT that will always act as that developer, or it knows always to act as that professional chef, or it always knows to act as that professional content creator, writer, whatever. So what does that mean? It means I could go ahead, just as I showed you before. Remember, I was having it evaluate the contract for me.
Yeah, and you said act like this, so you would basically eliminate that act like because that's what it's already it
Right.
told. Okay.
So here, this one, it says contract Cobra. This is basically Chat GPT, but we
Mm-hmm.
fine-tuned it, right? I trained it to be basically an attorney. So that's your only task. This is what I want you to do, and I want you to do it very well, right? So I didn't have to prompt this like, I want you to act as an attorney in real,
Mm-hmm.
real estate attorney in New Jersey. I want you and
Mm-hmm.
a huge prompt. This already knows that. We just feed it the data that we want. Whereas if it wasn't fine tuned, or we didn't have, we're just dealing with the basic interface, then we're gonna have to prompt it accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so now let me just kind of divert a little bit. I mean, we're still good. We're following
Yep.
everything. Okay,
Yep.
cool. So the here again, you have that custom GPT. Here we have just using prompts to create a basic website. Well, people have created and made public a website custom GPT that you can, let's say, write one sentence and it creates you a fancier, better website because it's trained to do this task, right? So you'll get better results. So you don't necessarily have to create these custom GPTs or create really detailed prompts. They may be available publicly,
Mm-hmm.
because if it's a common task, chances are there's probably something already available that you can kind of utilize. So anyway, that just kind of shows you, as far as like from a coding perspective, a real world use case
Mm-hmm.
of how this can benefit you. I mean, imagine from a developer's perspective how, I mean, this saves you a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
And out of that, it helps you debug code. I mean, it's a huge advancement in just that small space, right? Um, as
Wow.
far as admin work and all that, I could have it create emails for me. So, for example, I could have it monitor my email inbox. I could have it see an email come in, right? I could have it trained on the way I speak and create a draft. So I'm not saying, hey, automate it everything, right? Because you could
Uh-huh.
automate it to reply. I don't suggest that. I don't believe we're there with AI yet, and I think that'll um, be more negative right now than positive. But
Okay.
imagine that I could have, in my case, a homeowner comes to my website, they fill out the information on the form that's there. Maybe it's missing some data that I need in order to evaluate a cash offer. Well, this will
Mm-hmm.
draft that in the way I speak so that I can look at it and be like, perfect, send, or up, change that, okay, send. So just those little tweaks can allow you to be more efficient. Again, typing out emails, imagine it's creating drafts for you throughout the day. That's a huge plus.
Yeah.
It can,
How
you
do you
can,
do that though? How do you get it to go in your inbox?
right. So things are called APIs, which allow
Oh yeah, I know.
certain applications to communicate with each other.
Yeah.
That's a little more advanced, and you also have third-party tools that can monitor it, and there's triggers and hooks and all that stuff. So when this happens, do this. Again, it's a little more advanced stuff, but you can get really detailed. You can automate a ton of stuff. So it's both good and bad. Again, if you, in my opinion, as much as I love the automation and everything, um, there's some things that shouldn't be automated and should have another set of eyes on it. So,
Right.
at any rate, let me go ahead and dive into two other things, and that should probably wrap up the most. I don't want to give you overload you too much. Are you're tracking okay? We're good.
Yes.
All
Yes.
right, awesome.
This is so interesting. Like it's
It is. I'm glad you take interest in it because, like, to me, having a computer background, I left corporate world in 2009. Been doing the real estate stuff. Always still love the tech, but
uh-huh.
now the AI stuff I'm just so intrigued by it. So
Yeah,
I
it
really
is.
like
It's
it.
fascinating to me. I mean, it's crazy.
Cool. So let me just kind of go into, as I mentioned you before, I told you that this can create images, right? So
Mhm.
text to image or text to video is a way in which we could create images or videos through prompting. So remember how we're saying, hey, we have these prompts, these instructions that tell this LLM what to do. Well, we could also tell this LLM to create an image based off of text, right? So I could say, create a banner image for this. Okay. Now watch. This is going to utilize what's called Dolly 3. So
Mhm.
it basically is a different application that takes what you're describing through text and creates an image. Now watch, did you see what just happened? I didn't
Mhm.
use any Photoshop. I didn't use any MS Paint. We didn't use anything. This was created just from this text here, right?
Yeah.
So look, and within seconds. And now
That's
you can get
crazy.
really detailed with this, right? So let me just show you something real quick. As I mentioned before, you have many different options available as far as your LLMs are concerned. Claude, uh, ChatGPT,
ChatGPT.
Llama,
Yeah.
Grok, there's a lot. Similarly, you have a lot of text to image applications available. Now, this one is built in and it's Dolly within ChatGPT. I like this one. It does a fairly good job. My
Hmm.
favorite, however, is Midjourney. So Midjourney again is a different text to image generator. This is one of the most popular ones, one of the pioneers. If you look at these images, I mean, how they range in the styles. Some look real photographs and are, I mean, look how detailed that is. Again, just from prompts. So how is this created? Right here, right? So I don't want to get too detailed for you, but let me just show you something what's really awesome. So you don't have to know how to do this per se, right? If you see this prompt, here's the prompt, here's the settings, right? Well, I as a nerd, I like to dive into it. I like to get into the nitty gritty. But someone who just wants the results and wants and isn't technical, you can go ahead and click copy prompt, then go ahead and run that. You would paste it here, and in theory, you should get somewhat similar results, right? So what does that mean? That means technically speaking, yes, you could play around with the prompts and you could get endless results here. But if you're like, I just want a certain result, and basically you could go through here, find similar ones that need it. You could edit the prompt or just copy it and tweak it from there. So like you basically have endless resources to professional looking images that, um, I mean, you could imagine what would entail for a designer or photographer, or whoever, to create these. And now you could do that
Hmm.
literally within seconds. So if you look, let's say,
Yeah.
okay, so here's what created when I, not to get too much into the weeds, but the way these things are created is you'll never really get the same exact image twice, even with the same prompt, right? But you could use things such as seeds. Seeds are a way that, let's just say, they're random in nature, they're generated, but it'll be attached to a photo that will say, okay, if you provided that seed number, it will tell the model that you want similar to that creation. So it's a kind of a way to to get similar results. So as you can see here, this is pretty close to it. These it
Hmm.
went off on the rails a little bit, but
The first two at least are kind of
yeah.
close. Yeah.
So pretty amazing stuff, right? Like, and
Yeah.
this is a very detailed look at it, and you can even upscale it, right? So this gets a little more technical. You can change it subtly, you know. You can upscale it, and you can even rerun it if you want to try to get
Hmm.
different results. So,
So, yeah.
so I don't know if you hear my Presley, the girl twin in the background yabbering.
Yeah, now I can hear. I didn't even know you had twins, Ryan.
Yeah,
Steven just
yeah.
recently told me that.
19 months. It's wild. Oh,
Wow.
you quiet. Um, so cool. So all right. So we have that. Here is actually just to show you really quick. Remember I mentioned you have ChatGPT, you have Claude. Well, here's a bunch of different models, just to give you an idea how many there are. And I'm not giving you that to overload you, but there's a lot of options. And again, some excel more so than others. This website's pretty cool because you could actually, excuse me, you can test them out where you'll say, I want to see how this GPT does, compared to, one of the Mistral LLMs or the Gemini or Grok or whatever. So you would just put that prompt here and it'll go ahead and give you the outputs right here. So I just wanted
When
to
I
share that.
when I do a search for like if I go on Google and I search Chat GPT, it's a whole how would I know which one is
Yeah.
Chat
So
GPT?
if you want to access this, I would just put chat.openai and I'll put it in the
In the
chat.
chat?
So it's
Okay.
just
AI.
chat.openai.com.
Okay.
That'll if I wasn't logged in, it'll just give you the login screen. I'll show you. It'll bring me here. So you'll click login. If for you, you'll just click sign up. If you have a Gmail, which you do, you click
Hmm.
this, click that. You literally could be up and running within a couple minutes. Um, so yeah, I don't know what features are available for the free accounts. I do the paid
I
account just
wouldn't
because.
mind getting, I wouldn't mind paying. I
Okay,
mean, honestly, this is like
yeah,
just so cool.
yeah. We haven't scratched the surface. I'm just trying to keep it high level for now. So let me show you two more quick things before we wrap up for
Okay.
today. So we talked about text to image. Well, what else
Hmm.
is pretty awesome is they actually have text to video, right? So this is one I just shared on my social media. It's actually in Chinese. I convert or translate it to English so I can understand. So long and short of it, where we are right now with a lot of these text to image videos, you may have heard Runway, Kling. Um, uh, this is Halo, which is one of the newer ones. Pika Labs. For the most part, they just enable you short clips of 3 to 5 seconds most often, a little longer if you're paid and whatnot. Eventually, this will get to entire movies that it'll generate. If not, it may be available behind the scenes, not really to the public just yet. But if you notice some of the social media with like TikTok and Instagram, a lot of the editing that they have, maybe it's B-roll or whatever it is, it'll be like 2 or 3 second clips in the background or whatever it is. And a lot of that, and often is actually generated by, text to video generators like this. So again, just kind of showing you none of this is real, right? Obviously, you could tell it's not perfect. Some of these uh, do better than others, but this was generated just from this prompt right here, right? So we can just
You
take a
can
look and
tell
see.
I can't. I can't.
Well, well, here you go. Here's one that'll give it away, right? So obviously we know but I mean, look at the quality. I mean, it's just incredible now how this changes the game for not only marketing agencies, but even like Hollywood and all that. I mean,
Hmm.
this is
Hmm.
next level that you,
Yeah.
in essence, can create an entire movie from words, from text, right?
That is, my
Um, let me try to show you. Like, look at this. This is not real. This is 100% created from text. This looks as real as, I mean, right? I mean, look at that.
oh my good. Now I don't believe anything I've seen on TikTok
Yeah, yeah.
now
I mean,
because you just don't know what. That is
yeah,
crazy.
right. So like you can see it's not like, some weird oddities happen and you can edit them out, but for the most part, I mean, this has really come a long way. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to share that with you. And then lastly, as I mentioned earlier, about like, you could ask Google a question and there's Perplexity, which is in essence kind of like a Google powered by AI. So
Hmm.
I know a lot of people that are actually claiming they don't even really use Google anymore. They're just using Perplexity. I like Perplexity for some things. I haven't completely ditched Google. I still use it. I actually use ChatGPT a lot for just because it does have the internet access as well. Um, for a lot of my searching or feedback, believe it or not. But what's cool about this is, again, I'll just give you a little bit of experience. I don't know let me see what we got. What is right? So this is, as you can see, it's kind of stepping through. It actually pulls the sources, right? So you could
Hmm.
actually, these are websites. So it's kind of showing you, and it'll also give you some more like follow-up questions, as you can see. Watch, right? So here's some related information, all that, search videos, all that. So like, believe it or not, in some scenarios it will provide you better results than Google. Believe it or
So it's
not,
not a search engine, is it? Like
it
it's
is,
not.
but it's powered by AI, right? So here you go, like. here, this is like if I ask this question, right, and here's the sources that it's that I could click, get more info that it's pulling from, right? So it's providing, here's the answer, then it's just diving, it's just giving you, it gives you different feedback as opposed to just website results like Google does, right? So here
Yeah,
it's giving you
yeah.
some highlights. Then at the end, it has related questions that you could follow up on, ask. You could ask right here, follow up questions. So it's conversational. And what's cool
And
about this, I don't, this is also available for free. Um, there's
how do you
also,
get that?
you
How do
just,
you,
yeah, go to
what's the website? Oh, that's it right there?
Yep, Perplexity AI. Again, I'll shoot you over these links in an email.
Okay,
But
perfect.
what's cool about this, and I actually just created a post recently. I'm not a big fan of Xfinity. It's a whole story in itself. But by being a Xfinity member, I don't know if that's the internet provider you have. If so, you get a
No, it's
year
not.
free for their Pro. So I just one of the perks, I guess, of being an Xfinity member. So that's
I
something I
don't have
just
Xfinity. I think I have Verizon.
That's all right. I don't know that much of the like I haven't used Perplexity that much to I'm sure it's probably something with the limits and all that fun stuff. But before it was enabled with Pro, I don't recall getting restricted or saying, oh, I hit certain limits that I guess I just didn't use it that much, to exceed whatever limitations that they have. So yeah, I think that covers most of your high level stuff. I didn't hope I didn't lose you. Hopefully that was informative.
You didn't. It was 100%. It was.
Awesome.
I know you didn't lose me. I still think there's like a lot I have to learn, but it's
Yep.
like, yeah, this was good. This was really
Awesome.
informative.
So what I could do is let me see how to do this. This is recorded. I'll share you a link for reference. So you can always refer back to it, and then I'm more than happy to do some more of these. I will be holding more trainings and stuff just to get people up to speed. Obviously, everyone's at a different, some are starting off, some are more advanced and all that. So, yeah, hopefully you found value in this. And any questions you have, or I mean, do you have any questions now or about anything? Or
Not right now, no. But I'm
cool,
sure they'll come up, especially as I start using it more and more. Um, I'm
absolutely.
sure I'm gonna, think of some questions.
Yeah, the honestly the best way is to actually just dive in and just start playing with it, and just like have it. You'll be amazed at like just I mean have fun, have conversation, ask random things, you name it. I just had it. I had one AI create a song, um, and it did it within a couple seconds, and it actually was pretty. If you look at one of my last feeds, it's the graffiti that says Ryan Vice House is actually listen. It actually is very. I think it's pretty decent. So
That's it.
we're
Oh.
yeah, we've just like we haven't really scratched the surface, and the development that's going on in AI is amazing. It's changing rapidly, and it's going to be pretty interesting to see what the future holds. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, awesome. Well,
So don't be scared of it then. Don't be scared
no,
of
not at
these
all.
changes.
There's two types of people, right? I mean, that's what I say. Like, aside from hey, we're going to get taken over by AI, and we're all and you could either of try to put your head in the sand and avoid it and hope that
Or embrace it.
that
Yeah.
the truth is I don't see that happening. Technology can't be stopped. Look what happened with Airbnb. Look what happened with Uber. Sure, they may get industries will get pushback and all that. I mean, even cryptocurrency. At the end of the day, it's what again, technology, in my opinion, can't be stopped. So
I agree.
harness it, embrace it, see how you can leverage it, and instead of being fearful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, yeah, listen, any questions you have, feel free. You're obviously in the group as well. And I welcome questions. You have any issues, any things you run into. Best of luck and love to hear about your progress.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ryan. This was super helpful. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, you got to keep me in the loop.
All right. Thanks. I
All
will.
right, take
Okay.
care.
All right.